Just a lovely day in Madison, Wisconsin, as Forward Madison take on South Georgia Tormenta FC, presented by Dairyland. The Mingo faithful are here. You're here tuning in on ESPN Plus. Welcome along as we take you to Breese Stevens Field for an all-important game. I mean, they're all super important as we get here to the final stretch of the season. As we look at the Dairyland standings, these are updated as of the 2 goals that have already been scored this Saturday by Charlotte and Richmond. Worth highlighting here, Madison may be in ninth, 2 teams beneath them, but they only have 3 games left, so they need to win, and they need to win right now. Now let's take a look at the previous meeting between these 2 sides. It was a little while ago, but it was also here at Breese Stevens. It was after a wild game midweek for Tormenta, so maybe a little bit gassed, but J. Smith is able to work some magic and find the lead for Madison, and then they would ice it later on in the second half. A hard-fought game, much like their first encounter back at Russell Park even earlier in the season, as you see here. Some grit being shown, and then Mateus Cassini, who will not play today, finishing it off to make it a 2-0 win for Madison. They're going to need some more of that magic here today, and they'll be looking to the likes of Jeremiah Strang, potentially in the second half. He's our Canopy Wealth management player to watch. He will be starting on the bench today, but I don't think this is a game that's going to be decided in the first half. This is one where you're going to need to get players off the bench, leaving an impact. Strang is their leading goal scorer, and Madison need to find goals. They have not found a lot of product in the final third, but Strang, he's got that creativity, he's got that flexibility, and maybe the guy they're looking to funnel that ball down the middle second half with some fresh legs to find the differing goal in this one and claim 3 points. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, they've got a Tormenta side that are vaunted, and they are looking to get all but notching up their playoff spot. They're sitting in a good spot right now in the standings. They can't clinch a playoff spot this weekend, but they can all but do it with another victory today, and they are also just so good on the road. So they're coming to Breese Stevens confident that they can, despite the adverse environment, the loud fans, make something happen. And they'll also be counting on their center back, Jake Dangler, who is our other Canopy Wealth management player to watch. Dangler has been so solid all season, so consistent, and he will be the anchor of the back 3, right in the center in front of TJ Bush, looking to make sure that these Madison players who are trying to find that spark offensively do not do it in the next 90 minutes. But with that in mind, all that's left to do is buckle up, sit tight, and get ready for this game to get going. We hope you're all having a fantastic day tuning in to watch it. We're going to step aside for a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the lineups and the kickoff. Coming up next right here on ESPN Plus, Madison and Tormenta on the other side.
Thank you. Hey, excuse me, are you ready? Can I order now? Yeah, okay. I will take a large quad, 2-shot macchiato, no sugar, 2 pumps of vanilla, half pump caramel, non-fat milk, and not too hot, please. Very little ice. Honey, I said just a second. Ow.
Dairyland is getting there every day land. It's room for everyone land. It's post-retirement hobby land. Dairyland is driving to your first day of work land and spending Saturdays on the road land. Dairyland is affordable auto and motorcycle insurance for you land, all to help get you there. Dairyland is your land.
For a warm and inviting space to grab a quick meal or gathering the whole family, come into Gooseberry on the Square. Our made-from-scratch fare that is delicious, satisfying, and healthy. Plus, we're serving up breakfast and lunch all day long. Be sure to stop in and craft the salad of your dreams at the largest salad bar on the Square, featuring 70 items and 2 homemade soups. Gooseberry on the Square, open 5 days a week from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Stop on in today.
It's Tormenta and Madison, presented by Madison Gas and Electric. My name is Mark Schoenster. Looking forward to getting this one going in just a moment. Let's take a peek at our starting lineups first, though, before we get everything kicked off. Let's see what the 22 players who are taking the pitch for this game are. Starting off with the home side, brought to you by Madison Concourse Hotel. Pretty much your typical 3-4-3 for Matt Glazer's side, but they can't be typical in their performances these past few weeks. They have not found a win since August 20th. It has been quite a long time, over a month to be exact, and they're going to look at some of those players at the top to make a difference offensively. They've been dry in that regard. Meanwhile, for Ian Cameron's side, they're shifting to a 3-4-3 to match up with Madison. They've got that flexibility. Ian Cameron loves the adaptability that this team has in that regard. The fact they can change shape, they have that ability to do. And they've got a ton of great options there on the pitch who are all playing very well right now. We already highlighted Jake Dangler, Mukwele Akale, a recent addition to the squad, scored a fantastic goal, that one goal of the week last week off a free kick. But he's also ferocious in the run of play. So take a look at this Madison side. It's do or die. There are scenarios this weekend, should they all fall in a certain direction, if Madison lose, that they would be eliminated from playoff contention, but they don't have to worry about it if they're able to just get 3 points. Let's take a peek at our keys to the game, presented by Dairyland Insurance. From the Madison side of things, Matt Glazer's been saying it week after week. We're losing because we're self-destructing. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. So let's just play our game and get back to what we were doing earlier in the season. It's been mishaps, mistakes, errors that have been the cause of their downfall. Meanwhile, on the Tormenta side of things, they're shifting to a 3-4-3, and Ian Cameron said it. We want to win the one-on-one battles, our players beating their players. So it'll be a matter of confidence, which Tormenta definitely has more of right now coming into the game than Madison. We'll see if the Mingos flip that, though, here at home in front of their fans. Our head official for today's match is Jervis Atagana. These games near the end of the season are so intense, and we're underway here between Madison and Tormenta. This week, a lot of matches where upper table teams are playing teams out of the playoff line, which can mean one of two things. Either A, everything gets muddled up again like it's been for most of the year, or we really get a separation in the standings between who's looking to go to the playoffs and who's primed to, and who is really in a bad spot and in all intents and purposes, most likely to be watching from the couch at home come mid-October. We'll see. Tormenta, of course, the former. Madison in the latter. 3 games left for the Mingos to change their fate. Meanwhile, for Tormenta, this is one of 4 more games left. It's about 57 degrees in Madison, Wisconsin. So it's definitely gotten cooler here in the fall, but not as cool as it can get in Madison. It's certainly more than playable. As a matter of fact, I'm sure some of these players would argue that it's a great temperature to be playing in. That's all about perspective and where you played as you got older. Here's Kingsford Ajay, making his way down the left side of the pitch. So electric with the ball at his feet. Getting tripped up. No foul called from our head official. Since they had to play in California on Wednesday, it was light training yesterday, both with the heavy travel and the congested schedule. Here's Sterling. Rolls it over to Cabral. He taps it out to the right to Akale. Sierakowski on the ball now. Services in across. And it's just out of the reach of a Rosarena. Luckily, he had help behind him. Now Otieno. Gets bested by Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu and trips him from behind. Earning our first foul whistle of the day. Worth noting, Central Valley Fuego just now scoring, from my knowledge, drawing it up in Richmond. Kind of keep it updated on all the happenings in the standings as the game goes along. Kale. Chips it over to Sterling. He chests it down. Sterling trying to scuffle it in. Arozarena couldn't grab it. Luckily, Leonard was right behind him. Some inventive work from Tormenta into the 18. It's such a congested schedule for Madison recently. Played last Saturday, of course, at home. Then flew all the way over to Fresno on Wednesday. And then they have another home game. And then they don't have a game next week. Nothing. They will be sitting tight and watching, which is stressful. And also odd as Tormenta once again inside the 18, and then Gebhard getting pushed down. So let's take a look at that last chance Tormenta had. Kingsford Ajay trying to best Raiko Arozarena. Well chested, but he didn't get his foot through it the way he would have liked. Not a ton of pace on it. Imagine if he just had a little more juice on that. Arozarena already had as much trouble with it with the way it was, that perhaps it could have been an early 1-0 lead for Tormenta, which is exactly the kind of thing you want to do here on the road. Get that early lead, put the pressure on the other side. A very odd schedule in League One. And another odd thing is the fact that this is the first time this season that our two head coaches in this game are both on the sideline with each other. The first time around, neither of them were there. And then the last time they played here at Breese Stevens Field, Matt Glazer was serving a red card suspension, so Ian Cameron still didn't have the main mind behind the system that his opposition was fielding. Kind of laughed with Ian Cameron about it and said, it's kind of weird, isn't it, that this is the first time that you're actually coaching against each other, at least in the typical aspect, in the typical fashion. And apparently they talked a little bit before the last game while Glazer was permitted to be on the pitch. But certainly just more of exchanging pleasantries. Don't really get a chance to get an in-depth conversation. I know coaches love to chat with each other. Some appeals for a handball there. Nothing is called, though. The Flock end certainly erupting as well. And Otieno getting thrown down. Torres appealing to Atagana. He won't get it. Ajay's going to be waved off. But, like I was saying earlier, new configuration of coaches on the bench for this one, even though it's the typical faces for these two sides. Already very familiar with each other's sides, playing each other twice already. This being their third and final matchup of the regular season. But hey, sometimes those oddities occur. Abdou Mbake Jean. Have that one escorted out of the goal line by Deshaun Nembard. Rollover for a goal kick. It was a 3-0 loss against Central Valley Fuego on Wednesday for the Mingos. When I asked Matt Glazer what needs to change, you don't have a lot of time to adjust with the travel and how tight the schedule's already been, so not a ton of training time in that span. He said, well, first and foremost, don't get 2 players sent off. Drew Connor and Mateus Cassini both getting red cards in that game. And here they come. Torres plays it out wide. Into the 18, couple of steps, a shot, bending it towards goal. It's still in play. Maldonado could collect it. Back to Rod. Rod swings it in. And headed straight up by Nembard. Torres wins it back for Madison. Suko looking to thread to the right-hand side to Gebhard. It's going to roll out for a goal kick. Mateus Cassini with a boneheaded headbutt in the second half, gave him a red card, and then it was a second red for Drew Connor. And once you get to that point, it's pretty hopeless in a match. Like I said, we've wanted to be better defensively, and it's been disappointing because it hasn't been up to our standard. I got their hands full with a Tormenta attack and midfield that are full of guys who can make plays not only with the ball at their feet, but also in combination with each other. Meanwhile, for Tormenta, it was a 1-1 draw on Friday of last week. So on one end of the spectrum, you have a team that's played 2 times in between the last time Tormenta has played. So difference in rest. A lot of action in that 1-1 game. And Cameron said that, first off, Tucson's keeper made some fantastic saves in that match. When I went back and watched the game, I felt Tormenta had the better of the match. So maybe the more disappointed side to come out with just a point. And he said, we knew they'd be a tricky opponent. They're one of the hottest teams in the league right now, and they're also taking liberties since they are in win-now mode. Here's Gebhard into the 18. Collision brings both players down, and they'll go out for a goal kick. Nothing to be called from our assistant official or our head official. Derek Gebhard, after that, is slow to get up. Looks like he's clutching his left leg. Let's take a look at that transaction again. Looks like Nembard's just trying to get that tackle in, and if you get the ball, then you can make some contact with the player too. Wasn't the most graceful fall. But he's up and running again. When you're playing soccer, it's a physical sport. Here's Akale, turning about with the ball. Gets it poked away by Maldonado. It was a stretched and transitional game against Tucson last Friday, according to Ian Cameron. Madison maybe looking for the same thing here. Bartman giving chase. TJ Bush go with the ball at his feet though. Almost a prerequisite for goalkeepers in the modern game. Can't just be a shot stopper and distributor anymore. It can be tough to lose 3 points, especially when you're at home. Cameron mentioned that, but the other team is playing well. They're in good form. You take a point and you move on. You can't really sulk over it. Of course, that's easier to say when you're still in a playoff position. Here's Ajay. He loses it, which gives Leonard just enough time to swipe his foot through it. Leonard ever reliable in that center back spot for Madison. And of course, the most common name in the starting lineup in forward Madison history. Sierkowski pops it up. Akale with a couple of touches. Now it's Cabral. Phelps pushing forward. And offside there, Sierkowski. So Rosarena will just scoop that one up nicely. As far as this matchup is concerned, Matt Glazer mentioned that Tormenta, it's a similar look to the last time we played them, he anticipated. So they got the same critical pieces. They're going to go through Keziah Sterling offensively. And he highlighted that they can play in different shapes, and they did that last time they matched up, and that's the same MO that Tormenta went with today. I think Glazer anticipating that adjustment from Ian Cameron. the penultimate home game of the season for Forward Madison. Of course, he only got 3 games left, so unless they were all home games, that was going to be the case. And they're as loud and rambunctious as always. This is Torres moving forward. Madison's always been steady at this portion of the game, the build-up, but it's always when they get to the attacking third that they've struggled recently. Just haven't had that cutting edge, that bite. And that's certainly not an issue you want to have when you're behind in the playoff race. Just around the corner, October 15th, the final game, final night in USL League One before the USL League One playoffs presented by Hisense. Akali gets pushed down from behind. It looks like we've got our first booking. Cyrus Rod getting his 6th yellow card of the season.
Yellow card assessed to Cyrus Rod.
Here's a look on the Dairyland replay. Yeah, I mean, just too much there, according to our head official, Jervis Atagana. So we'll have to be on yellow card watch for the rest of this one. Couple of bounces, not sure exactly what they're trying to accomplish. Maybe trying to get to sit on top of the turf just the way they want to. Cabral zipping that one down. That's parried away by Abdou Mbake Jam. It'll be a deep throw in for Tormenta. Not a lot of float on that service from Gabriel Cabral. But the forward able to handle it all the same. Sterling, Sierakowski. Dangler gets it over to Nembard. He has a pocket of space and he'll float it himself. Just a little bit too high for Sterling. Tied for 2nd in the Golden Boot race with 12 goals. Garrett McLaughlin, the other guy who's paired up with him. And if you don't know who's in 1st place, then you probably haven't been watching too much League One. Of course, it's Emiliano Terzaghi from Richmond. Let's take a look at our injury report presented by UW Health Sports Medicine. Barry Sharifi out for Tormenta. Adi Jepson's been out for such a long time for Madison, just trying to recover there. Veteran presence on the team. Torres plays it up that right-hand side, but only finds Kingsford Ajay. Only for Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu to wrestle it right back. When I was talking to Ian Cameron earlier this week about his opposition, he said Madison, he said it's going to be a bit of the same when it comes to how it felt to play against Tucson. They've got to take some liberties. They have to take chances. Chances kind of like that. And said, yeah, they've been in a funk and need results now. I mentioned maybe hitting on the counter is going to be their best avenue for finding goals in this game. And he mentioned they were fatigued last time they played because the Wednesday prior to that Saturday fixture, they had that 5-5 bonkers game with Greenville. Says this time we're fresh. And they said on the flip side, though, if teams are waving off Madison because they've been in a bit of a losing spell, he thinks that they're going to come out a unified team and will be their best selves, so we need to be a good road team and handle them. certainly at this point in the season, it's almost harder to play the teams that are desperate. Depends on the kind of team you are, though. Or even the teams that are really much out of the playoff race, which no one is yet. North Carolina currently in dire straits and could end up being that way for these next few weeks. Kingsford Ajay is slow to get up. So far, pretty even back and forth. 18.5 minutes into this game. Really the best chance so far was that moment to Kingsford Ajay. But outside of that, no major chances. Lackluster pass there. Here's Sterling making his way forward to Akale, but a sliding challenge from Rod gets there in time. Again, worth noting, he's on a yellow card already, so he has to pick those slides carefully. That was a wise decision. Bartman now, surveying his options. Plays it to the middle. Torres out wide to Rod. Maldonado. At this point, Tormenta is nice and set defensively. Torres with the cross. He connects with Maldonado. The offside flag goes up. His touch was too heavy one way or the other. Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu has done well so far in the middle of the pitch today. Won back a couple of balls. He's going to be up against Toby Otieno and Gabriel Cabral all day. Those are two stellar midfielders for Tormenta. And as I say, there's a look at Otieno. Now Kale. Whistle's going to bring this one back. And we've got another yellow card. Alan Torres, I think, the one getting booked there. We'll get that confirmed in a second. That contact happening after the ball was away. Mukweli Akale is the victim of the foul that resulted in the booking. Here's a look on the Dairyland replay. Yep. It's certainly Alan Torres just walling off Akale, and also maybe a push to the face as well. So Alan Torres will get his 6th yellow card of the season. Torres, worth noting, turning 19 today, so unfortunately not the best birthday gift, but of course it was well earned from him to get the yellow card. We got another collision. A bit choppy here now. I'm gonna wave over trainers. I believe that's Ajay who's down. It is. Mitch Osman trying to defend what he did, and now he's going to get a booking. I think that last word he just said, striking Atagana. Oh. Doesn't look like he's reaching for a card, but he certainly struck a nerve as we look on the Dairyland replay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think there's a foul to be had there. I think that was just an unfortunate clashing of the feet and the knee. And ultimately, Mitch Osman needs to be careful about not getting himself booked for words said after the whistle. Of course, whenever two knees collide, that's dangerous business. Ajay still ailing. Ajay, just an electric player. Has been such a welcome addition to this Tormenta side. They're going to want him for this final stretch, and certainly they'll want him should they make the playoffs, which is in a high probability as of right now. Of course, in USL League One, that can change week to week. But if Tormenta's there, he's the kind of guy who could certainly shine when the pressure is on. But Tormenta will get a free kick. Ajay will have to get waved on later. Cabral with the service. And it's off the mark and out for a goal kick. Ajay gets waved on here. Celebrating its 75th anniversary, Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL League One. Choose what you play with at www.selectsportamerica.com. Select, League's choice, player's choice. Just rolling too far ahead of Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu. Tormenta start churning it forward once again. Bush just gets that one away after some pressure, and then he gets thudded into by Abdou Mbake-Jam. He's going to get a yellow card for it. Just a bit reckless from the striker. And TJ Bush is down and in some evident pain. Not sure if it's his face or his leg. Get a look at the collision again here on the Dairyland replay. That's the face. And that's the issue. It's the arm to the face that really did it in. Because when you step in for a clearance, of course, you expect some collision, but there's no situation where getting hit in the face is absolvable. Bush, who has stepped in and become the starting keeper as of late for Tormenta, has a 79% save percentage, which is very impressive for soccer. Now I'll talk to his center back in Jake Dangler. And also just some frustration from the Madison top three. They're without whom was basically their last spark offensively. Mateus Cassini serving his red card suspension. He was the catalyst for their last goal they scored just in league play. It was here in Madison a week ago when he jumped on a pass and had the nice assist to Nazim Bartman. Matt Glazer said that up top he's looking for quality decision making. He mentioned you've got to beat your guys one-on-one. You got to get in the box. He said the last time we were doing these things consistently was at Greenville. We just haven't been executing since then. And it's so hard when you get into a goal-scoring stench to get out of it. And the only way to do so is just through sheer willpower and grit. may sound a bit preachy in that regard, just saying things like determination and grit, but it's a mentality thing. You can't really draw X's and O's and solve a goal-scoring problem. There were times in the year Tormenta struggled with it, especially early in the season. Here's Abdou Mbake-Jean, looking for Bartman, but instead finds Josh Phelps. Excellent exchanges there. Some tight passing. Now Suko plays it back to Torres. Torres has some range. He'll instead opt to play it out wide. Maldonado in the middle. Suko gets that one stabbed away. Should be a corner kick. It's not going to be. Owen Green seemingly had the last touch on it, but perhaps it grazed Josh Phelps, or excuse me, Justin Suko. The assistant official was right there and had the best view in the whole house, so I have to give the benefit of the doubt there. So we're talking about the attack for Madison. Inversely, on the back line for Tormenta, I asked Ian Cameron if he had found his configuration of 4, which is what they typically run along the back line. Before we get to that, here's Sierakowski in that right channel. Ryan Sierakowski tries to make a move, and he will draw the foul just outside the penalty area. He pulled the move to try and get by Eric Leonard. He didn't get by Eric Leonard, but he did win something. Here's a look on the Dairyland replay. So this will be a short corner kick. Cabral and Mukwele Akale whispering to each other their secret plans. Akale with his hands on his hips. Chips this one in, punched away by Arozarena. But a whistle will also blow, whether that be offside, some bumping and bruising in the box. One way or another, Madison escape. Don't miss a minute of the action in 2022, whether your club is on the road or at home. Catch nearly every second of USL League One action on ESPN+, the home to the USL, MLS, the Liga, the Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up today at plus.espn.com. I imagine most of you are watching on ESPN Plus, or at least you're watching with a friend who has ESPN Plus. So if you're in that latter, maybe consider getting yourself so that you can have it on hand whenever you'd like. There's Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu rolling that one forward, but there's no one within a nautical mile of that ball for Madison. Bartman is able to get it out, but it's behind Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu. Sterling with the bump and a foul. No, they're going to say it's on Leonard. Sterling coming flying in, perhaps Leonard tripping him up there. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, they're going to call him for the trip from behind. My thought was play on as far as the initial contact was concerned, but he did clip him once he went to the ground, Eric Leonard. So a little love tap on the back of the heel. So another free kick for Tormenta. Akale swings this one in. Arozarena comes flying through. Duck and cover, Eric Leonard. Your keeper's flying in. Embard poor with that touch. Abdou Mbake-Jean gets by one man. Going down this right-hand side. Otieno, though, stout as a defender. It's back to him. Bouncing that ball into the middle, and it couldn't connect with the target. First big moment of the night for Madison. Here's a look at it again on the Dairyland replay. And Bakay with the service. I believe that's Mikey Maldonado, or it would have been Derek Gebhardt. One of the two wingers slotting in place of Abdul Bakay as he shifted out wide. Oh, look at that move from Sterling. And then crushing in is Andrew Wheeler Omiunu. And that's going to get you a yellow card. Yep. Number 8 of the season. McCauley has already taken a couple hits today. That's the thing about some of these Tormenta players, though. Mukele Akale, Kingsford Ajay. Some of them are so light on their feet. They can change direction so quickly, even when they have the ball. They draw a lot of fouls that way. Keziah Sterling also falls into that sometimes. You've got to be careful defensively. These guys are tricky. Final between the Kickers and Central Valley, 1-1. Which means a lot of playoff clinching scenarios are not quite in the books because Richmond needed to win in order to really put some of those into gear. Again, the combination of a team up top playing a team outside of the playoffs means wins and losses mean double. Cabral with the service in. We're getting another whistle. It has been an active first 45 minutes for Jervis Atagana. A lot of stop and go. It's been a choppy game. Mentioned again earlier that Tormenta shifted to a 3-4-3 to match up with Madison. Recently, in their back four, they've been rolling with Fuad Adani, Deshaun Nembard as their two fullbacks, with, of course, Dangler and Phelps, who have been pretty much staples as the two center backs. They've been switching and changing their fullbacks throughout the season, though. I asked you, Cameron, about have they really found that back line, or is it still a work in progress? And he said, still a work in progress, and we're going to shift to the 3-4-3 for this game. And then talking matchup-wise, he said, we want our men to beat theirs. We may see Curtis Thorne and Jamil Roberts come into this game in the second half, both coming back to health. Could really see those two thrive out on the wings. So for Tormenta fans, something to look forward to, seeing some healthy faces again. Maybe this is the kind of matchup for them. If I do recall, Jamil Roberts had himself quite a game last time these two teams played here, even in a losing effort for Tormenta. Otieno. Ajay will knock that one away. Otieno just trying to get it wide. Couldn't connect with Green. Derek Gebhardt still going with it. He's got some teammates in the middle, but that pass is behind. Easy pickings for Jake Dangler. That one going off the back of Eric Leonard. Sterling doesn't have the juice to catch up to it. Suko with the move. Suko play it back to Torres. Tormenta throw deep in their own territories. We're getting closer and closer to halftime. Of course, we'll look at the highlights from the midweek games. Madison fans may want to revert your eyes for a little bit there. look at Red Hot Tucson, of course, playing at home against North Carolina. I tell you what, if that team makes the unthinkable happen and they make the playoffs again, someone better tell John Perlman to run his calendar a couple of months early every year. Pretend it's late season, earlier in the year, so they don't have to be so stressed out. Already been a fantastic turnaround in that regard here late in the season when after they couldn't buy a win early in the year. We're gonna get a free kick for Madison. Having to get sprayed out the distance between him and the dead ball. Abdou Mbake-Jean, the lone man waiting to provide the service. And here it is. That one dips down, and TJ Bush using his hands to clasp that one. On the same page there with Sterling, who is holding and not running. Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu with it now. Foul drawn by Nazim Bartman, and the first yellow card for Tormenta tonight. It'll be Deshaun Nembard. It's his 9th yellow card of the season. Look on the Dairyland replay. Nembard going into the books. It's the first yellow card brought to you by Dairyland Insurance today. Madison already have 4 yellow cards in this game. First one for Tormenta. Some pushes from Ryan Sierakowski, wins another free kick, and lo and behold, we're gonna get another yellow card, but this is to the bench. Ian Cameron right there, sounding off at the whistle. So make that 2 yellow cards for Tormenta now, but one of them is not for a player on the pitch. Ian Cameron arguing with the official on the sideline. Cameron heated about a topic of conversation. It has been, again, a very choppy first half. I'm sure the players have not been a fan of the way this game has flowed. But you got to play in the conditions laid out. It's not like the 2 teams are playing in different matches. Both got to adapt and adjust. Suko hits it back to Maldonado. Finds Torres. He'll get it right back. Will either of these teams find something before the halftime whistle? Maldonado curls this ball in. The header not anywhere near frame for Abdou Mbake-Jean. That will earn some clapping and some chants from the forward faithful. Here's a look on the Dairyland replay. Abdou Mbake-Jean sending that one to the top rows. He'll be wanting that one back. Support this season has just been fantastic from Madison. there are some places, some activities sporting-wise that, especially when there are quote-unquote bigger opportunities, and we'll get back to that in a second, as Suko brings this one down. And then he is just chased into a corner. He's able to get it out, though. Abdou Mbake-Jam on the ball now. Maldonado. Gebhard. There's Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu. Back out wide to Gebhard. He makes a move. Now Nazim Bartman. Owen Green getting tangled up with that ball. There's a whistle there, and it will be a free kick for Madison. Madison faithful clapping. They could have decided to just go to the Wisconsin game today and call it quits or watch it from home or anything. So many of them have come out to the games these past few weekends. Regardless of that fact, Matt Glazer said it's been amazing. Unparalleled support in the league. And he mentioned, my biggest thing is that we want to reward that. We want to award them, and we haven't done it well enough at home. He said, we're always thrilled to have a packed stadium, but it's worth mentioning, it does add pressure. These guys want to do right by the fans, and it certainly, at times, can get to them. Service comes in, it's headed down. Josh Phelps, the one getting his head on it and knocking it away. It'll be recollected by Madison. And I think it's a trend across League One. Winning at home field advantage is not exactly as black and white as people may think. Tormenta has done well on the road, so they can attest to it. Having great support means that you want to do well, and maybe it hurries you a little bit. You got to get used to it. We get 5 minutes of stoppage time, presented by Just Coffee Co-op. And I think that's a really interesting thought, because I think there's always the assumption that you're at home. If you have a great environment, that means that your players are always going to play at their best. But you have to be acclimated to it, because it's different. Mike Glazer said, we want to take that pressure off of them, because we're so lucky to have these fans. We're so happy that they're here. Now it's about doing them right. You also don't want to force it or rush it. Now, at this point in the season, there may have to be some forcing, some elbow grease, but that's a different realm in the topic of conversation. Sterling lets it go. Cabral can't get to it. Sterling, after being a little bit enforcive, gets it back for Tormenta. Otieno slips on that one. And Madison throw it midfield. Abdou Mbake-Jam over in that left corner. So carrying notice that Garrett McLaughlin scored in that other game, which means that Keziah Sterling is now in third place in the Golden Boot race. McLaughlin collecting his 13th goal of the season. Here's a ball bending inside. It's just out of the face of Abdou Mbake-Jam, who's had the best looks at the ball right around goal for Madison today. Here's a look on the Dairyland replay. So close yet so far for Abdou Mbake-Jam. And after that first chance from Tormenta, it's been Madison who have had the bevy of chances and have the better of the expected goals. They have twice that, actually. Tormenta at .08 to Madison's .16, and I don't even think that's updated with that last chance, so it's going to be even higher. Suko He's able to get his head on the ball. He plays it forward for Abdou Mbake-Jam, but Phelps gets there first. 2 more minutes to go. Torres. They are putting that pressure on TJ Bush. Mbake-Jam will play it back to Leonard. That's actually Mitch Osmond. Hold this ball into the half. The goal creating maybe one more chance before that whistle. Thirty more seconds to go before halftime. Again, we've got some highlights. We'll talk about the happenings in the league. So be sure to keep your application on your smart TV or on your phone on. You can have it on and just listen if you need to go and grab some refreshments and whatnot. I won't blame you for that. And there is the whistle from Jervis Atagana. A choppy first 50 minutes of action. And it's scoreless between Madison and Tormenta. Anyone's game still, as both teams will go to the dressing room. Madison may be just a hair more irked, given some of the chances they had as the half wore on. But they're also the more desperate of the two sides, so they need to find goals. Tormenta can be content holding on to a draw on the road as it stands. TJ Bush and Raiko Rosarena, up to this point, have been all safe between the pipes. So we're going to step aside for a moment after this break. We'll give you highlights in the Just Coffee Co-op halftime show. So we'll see you then. So go quick, grab your refreshments, and be right back here on ESPN+.
Dairyland is getting there every day land. It's room for everyone land. It's post-retirement hobby land. Dairyland is driving to your first day of work land and spending Saturdays on the road land. Dairyland is affordable auto and motorcycle insurance for you land, all to help get you there. Dairyland is your land.
Thank you. Hey, excuse me, are you ready? Can I order now? Yeah, okay. I will take a large quad, 2-shot macchiato, no sugar, 2 pumps of vanilla, half pump caramel, non-fat milk, and not too hot, please. Very little ice. Honey, I said just a second. Ow.
For a warm and inviting space to grab a quick meal or gathering the whole family, come into Gooseberry on the Square. Our made-from-scratch fare that is delicious, satisfying, and healthy. Plus, we're serving up breakfast and lunch all day long. Be sure to stop in and craft the salad of your dreams at the largest salad bar on the Square, featuring 70 items and 2 homemade soups. Gooseberry on the Square, open 5 days a week from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Stop on in today.
Halftime here in Madison on the Just Coffee Co-op halftime show. Let's take a look at the midweek highlights from earlier this week in USL League One. Ross Davenport will take us through it.
On Tuesday night in Tucson, it was a battle of the basement in USL League One as two teams tried to keep their playoff hopes alive. It would be all North Carolina early. They would score here in the first half, Max Flick, but his goal was disallowed. It looked initially like it was offside on him, but perhaps Gustavo Fernandez was shielding the goalkeeper. He was certainly offside. We'll get back to Gustavo Fernandez in a little bit, but that would keep things at 0-0. And then we had a header from Garrett McLaughlin off the bar. Adams with the rebound, really should have put that on target. And then the two combined again. This time, Adams to McLaughlin. His left-footed effort goes wide. He loses his balance right at the wrong moment. Let's go to the 66th. 0-0 at the break, but here, Fernandez again, just inside the box, has his arm around Luis Perez. That's enough for the referee to award the penalty, and the Frenchman would step up and finish it with class. And that would give Tucson the 1-0 win and bring them out of 11th place. Now here's Donnie Barnes for the look back at the action from Northern Colorado versus Omaha.
Northern Colorado and Union Omaha, a game that Northern Colorado had to have to keep their playoff hopes alive, and they got it, just barely. In the 24th minute, they opened the scoring spectacularly. Breck Evans, the defender. What a goal, what a hit. Pick that out. Bottom left corner, Piedrahita no chance, 1-0, no-co. And they would hold that lead until the 75th when Omaha had a free kick. Joe Brito swinging it into the box. Northern Colorado's goalkeeper, Olsen, coming way off his line. He got his fist to the ball, but he also took out Dalton Knutson, and the referee points to the spot. Northern Colorado incensed. Union Omaha with a great chance to level the match. You see the impact again as Olsen penalized, and Omaha presented the spot kick with 15 minutes remaining. And Noe Meza, Omaha's leading scorer, had just come on a couple minutes prior, and he dispatched the penalty excellently into that corner, past the grasp of Olsen, and it was 1-1 with a quarter of an hour remaining. And Omaha looked the more likely to grab a late winner, but Northern Colorado earning a corner in the 84th minute. Arthur Rogers so deadly from those set pieces, and there was Breck Evans again. Would you believe it? The defender scores the brace, steps up just when his team needed it most. A vital late winner for no-co. They gain the 3 points and remain right in the thick of the playoff race with a 2-1 win.
We would wrap up midweek action with this Wednesday night tilt between Central Valley Fuego and Madison, a big one. Christian Cheney would get us started early with a superbly struck free kick. That will give the home team the lead 1-0 in the 9th minute. We go to halftime with that score, but then things would get a little silly for Madison. 5 minutes into the second half, Mateus Cassini, his headbutt would result in him being sent off. Madison down to 10 men, and be outshot 16-1 in this contest, and then they would be down to 10 men just a few minutes later. Drew Connor with a silly yellow as he's given his marching orders. Fuego would take full advantage. Sharif Dye off the bench. He would find a brace in the last few minutes of this one. Stuck with this one after his first attempt was blocked, and a lovely first-time right-footed finish on the half volley. That would make it 2-0. Really put this one away as Madison's season starts to fizzle away, unfortunately. Choreography brought to you by Fuego. And Sharif Dye would make it 3-0 on the break here. Cerritos with a lovely pass through. Dye would shrug off the challenge of Torres and finish past Rosarena as Fuego move closer to the bottom end of the playoffs with this big 3-0 victory. That's 3 goals on the season for Sharif Dye, as Coach Martin Vasquez will be a happy man after this one. Fuego alive and in the hunt for the playoff spots. We'll be right back with more halftime after this.
I'm on that real tick. I'm on that real tick.
Goes top I mean, yeah, it's time about
Stop
you know,
it.
today's the day where I'm gonna go
Yo,
tropics.
roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?
Welcome to Tampa Bay. Here he comes. Cross, score! Fernandez, and the Rowdies are on the board.
And it's into the back of the net. El Paso waited for their moment.
Far corner, and it's in. What a goal! Are you watching Football Americas?
We're off and running, a spot in the League One final on the line. Fires, what it's in! What a strike from the top of the block!
And they are coming, the USL League One playoffs presented by Hisense. As you see here, a lot of scenarios happening. We talked about some of them in the first half, including Tucson's late run, Richmond. You see, they could be the first place to clinch with the point in a Charlotte loss, but I believe the Charlotte game just went final, so no team is going to clinch a playoff spot this weekend. We're going to have to wait till October for a single team to punch their ticket to the USL League One playoffs. And let's take a look at those standings as they look right now. Richmond drawing with the Central Valley Fuego, which ultimately for the teams in the bottom of the table, draws are the best because 1 point is not a lot to overcome if you're, in theory, winning out. Of course, these standings brought to you by Dairyland Insurance. I talked about the scores. Let's take a look at the scores. We've had a couple of games that are happening both right now, have happened today. I already mentioned the kickers in Fuego. Charlotte playing up against North Carolina just went final. They went down a man. North Carolina got 1 goal back. We're trying to draw it. Couldn't find that result. And then you see the 2 results from Wednesday's games as well. Those score lines brought to you by Dairyland. We also have some games coming up here as well, including some more games tonight. Greenville, Northern Colorado, and Tucson and Chattanooga. Can Tucson keep up this stretch? And then we get things going Wednesday in the Hailstorm Fuego FC Fire Ice matchup presented by Dairyland. Should be a lot of fun. On Thursday, the American soccer community lost a coaching legend. Tim Hankinson coached for more than 40 years, including stints with the USL's Charleston Battery, Indy 11, and Chattanooga Red Wolves, as well as working as a broadcaster for San Antonio FC. The entire USL mourns his passing. Our thoughts are with his family and all the players who ever called him coach.
Dairyland is getting there everyday land. It's room for everyone land. It's post-retirement hobby land. Dairyland is driving to your first day of work land and spending Saturdays on the road land. Dairyland is affordable auto and motorcycle insurance for you land, all to help get you there. Dairyland is your land.
Thank you. Hey, excuse me, are you ready? Can I order now? Yeah, okay. I will take a large quad, 2-shot macchiato, no sugar, 2 pumps of vanilla, half pump caramel, non-fat milk, and not too hot, please. Very little ice. Honey, I said just a second. Ow.
For a warm and inviting space to grab a quick meal or gathering the whole family, come into Gooseberry on the Square. Our made-from-scratch fare that is delicious, satisfying, and healthy. Plus, we're serving up breakfast and lunch all day long. Be sure to stop in and craft the salad of your dreams at the largest salad bar on the Square, featuring 70 items and 2 homemade soups. Gooseberry on the Square, open 5 days a week from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Stop on in today.
As we welcome you back to the tail end of the Just Coffee Co-op halftime show, here's the Just Coffee Co-op halftime highlights. Here was really the only chance of the night for Tormenta. It nearly got by Raiko Rosarena. Had Kingsford Ajay just put a little bit more behind, if he hit it a little bit more cleanly, perhaps then they would have found themselves 1-0 up very early on in that game. Had a couple other looks from set-piece situations, but Raiko Rosarena was on top of all of it. Either he was catching it, punching it away, he was having his way, and then Madison started to ease their way into this game. Had a couple of chances right in front of goal. Abdou Mbake-Jam was in front of a lot of them. We'll probably see 1 or 2 of them here. But TJ Bush, as well, doing everything he can to maintain the goose egg after 50 minutes of action, 45 plus the 5 added. There's a big chance that couldn't quite be capitalized off of Abdou Mbake-Jam. And then another one coming down to him. That one he didn't make contact on. Was in a right position to do so, to really put it against the run of play. As we look at the halftime stats brought to you by Rhyme. Madison have not scored a first half goal in 19 of their games, which is more than any other team in the USL. But Tormenta has been good about that in the first half as well. This is the 15th time they've shut out a team the first 45 this season, which is behind just Omaha and Triumph. Greenville Triumph, that is, who both have 17 on the season. And you see there, not a lot of shots, possession heavily in favor of Madison, but if you've been watching League One this season, possession has not exactly indicated victories or goals. So, you know, that's that. As both teams preparing to get away. The 2006 state ODP team is our Unity Point Health Meritor Youth Soccer Spotlight of the night. Thank you for representing the state of Wisconsin and for your continued support of Forward Madison FC. So as the two teams flip sides, see if either one of them can break through, find a goal here in this second half. This may be one of those 1-goal games where it just takes one of these teams to break through. Let's see which of them it is, what kind of adjustments were made in the dressing room, and if that'll be the difference. Just 3 shots total between these two teams. Goes to show you the lack of opportunities created from both sides. Abdou Mbake-Jam nearly jumping on that pass and following through with the challenge. He's on a yellow already. Are they going to give him a red card? He has gotten his 2nd yellow. This is disastrous for Forward Madison. And Abdou Mbake-Jam despairing as he sits on the turf. That's a yellow card. I mean, he gets his studs on him. It's reckless. He is so desperate to not get booked there. Abdou Mbake-Jam will have to see his way off the pitch. And you don't need me to tell you the amount of frustration and emotion that is going through his head right now. You know that he wasn't meaning anything malicious, but it was a little reckless. Wow. What a way for this second half to start.
A red card has been assessed to Abdou Mbake-Jam.
It is a nightmare beginning for the home side.
6 minutes. Red card issued to Abdou.
They will have to play shorthanded for the rest of the game, and there's some extra frustration from Abdou Mbake-Jam, who had several chances in the first half, couldn't put them away, created some for his teammates, they couldn't put them away. And now his team will be down a man, and worth noting, will be without Mateus Cassini to sub in who's been a bit of a spark for this team offensively because he's serving a red card suspension from Wednesday. We highlighted Jeremiah Strang in the open. We may be seeing him sooner than they had planned because they just need offensive presence at the top of the pitch. And you got to sub in a player who's more defensive in mind and philosophy in order to give your team a chance to find some of those goals. And Tormenta on the other side, they can now begin to try and pick apart this Madison team. Find the opening and capitalize. They have several players who can all make it happen. And we're gonna get our first corner kick. As a matter of fact, I think this is our first corner kick of the whole night. Yeah, it is. Here's the service. It's going to sell well over. Headed back into the middle, punched away. It's volleyed back through. And Josh Phelps, the center back, gets his first goal of the season. Moments after going up a man, are now up a goal. Phelps, a long-time Tormenta player. It's his 6th year with the program. Here's a look on the Dairyland replay. Gets punched away, and then he's able to pop it right back on frame while Rosarena is still on the ground. And Tormenta on the lead and have the player advantage. That's well done from Josh Phelps. Worth noting, he was for a little while experimentally placed up top for Tormenta as a giant striker. Got shifted back defensively. The Welshman, or the Australian, excuse me, doing well to get his first this season. Proven he can do it on both ends of the pitch. +250 clearances in USL League One, and also score the goals on the other side. So that's how this game starts. Tormenta up a goal. Look to see this one through, and then they could go home next weekend and open up their new stadium for their first league game. They're going to have a scrimmage before then as sort of a soft opening, but the big one will be against the Richmond Kickers next weekend. On Thursday, they just moved everything over from Irk Russell Park, the stands, the field boards. Several members of the organization said it was really cool to see it. It's starting to feel real now. The scoreboard's up. The electronic boards are in the works. Cabral tried to volley it, but instead sliced it. And now Keziah Sterling is down. It looks like it has to do with his face. Sterling. Gonna get up. Don't have an angle of the collision. Now he's clutching his right shoulder, so not his face, but close to it. This may be a situation, if you're Ian Cameron, you're up a goal, you're up a player, that you take out your superstar player in Keziah Sterling. 12 goals on the season, which is now 3rd in USL League One after Garrett McLaughlin scored earlier today to take 2nd place all for himself. We'll see if he gets waved back into the game, if they decide to sub in someone in his stead. Got Adrian Billhart on the bench, who can slot into that center striker spot if need be, or they can even shift it around once he subs in. Just one option in Cameron's disposal. This is a moment now for Madison where they've really got to show some resilience, because even though they're down a player, they can't use excuses. They have to find wins. I asked Matt Glazer about the guys who are speaking up in the locker room. He said it's Mitch Osman, Eric Leonard, Cesar Murillo is really loud. He said Mikey Maldonado has really improved as a leader these past month or two. He said we have guys who care, but also there's 16 plus new players here in Madison, plus a new coach. It really does feel like an expansion side in essence. He said it a couple of times this year. He said it takes time to cultivate that leadership. Talked about a lot of it has had to come from the bench, which is where you have to set the standard, and then you hope your players can carry through with it. Sometimes it doesn't just click immediately. Sometimes that you gotta take time together so then your leaders can understand the rest of the team, know what is needed of them. But right now, again, you can't be playing the excuse game. The situation is the situation. Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu plays that one out wide to Derek Gebhard. Gebhard gets there. Maldonado now. Here's Eric Leonard. Suko making a move. He can't get by Sierkowski. Mukwele Akale will play it forward. Sierkowski and Akale both combining there. I talked to Ian Cameron about Akale's addition in particular, but you wanted to kind of stretch it to both of them. He said that we've tried out a lot of guys. There's a reason he, as in Mukwele Akale and Ryan Sierkowski, have been added among the sea of players who have been tried out. As that ball sails over for a goal kick. And talking about Akale in particular, he said he's a really good addition and he's a great person. They talked a little bit about how hard it is to add someone late season because there are a lot of things to consider. Will you adjust quickly? Because you can't really take time for players to adjust. They got to plug in and they got to do well. You mentioned you have to look, do they already have our mindset? Will the players like him? Will he do what we need him to do? These are all very important considerations. I really think that will players like him one is a big one. They can't be sure of, you never know for certain, but that's something you have to be careful about, especially when a guy's gonna come in and take starting spots from players who have been with the team the entire year. I wanna make sure it doesn't aggravate them. So see rain coming down in Madison. It's gonna be a bit cold there now. It's just under 60 when the game started. The rain's certainly gonna make things even cooler now. Not just be thankful it's not snow or anything like that, which Madison will start seeing here as the winters grow colder. Still 57 degrees. And it's pouring. Now with precipitation comes more mess ups and mistakes. The question is which of those teams will have them. Could prove beneficial or detrimental to either side. Sierkowski will knock that one out of play. Of course, the fans keeping it nice and loud here. It's also worth talking about, there's also two Tormenta fans who got this nice experience traveling to Madison, courtesy of Tormenta. They got to fly with the team, watch practice, eat with the team. So they're here at Breese Stevens now. Hopefully they brought ponchos. Or maybe they're under a roof. I don't know exactly where they're stationed. Talk about a nice all-expense fan experience. Man, that rain is coming down. It looks like we're going to get some substitutions for Tormenta, 2 of them to be exact. Just talked about Mukwele Akale, and he will make his way off the pitch for a guy who has been with the team all year and has been with the team for a couple years, Adrian Billhart. On top of that, Ryan Sierkowski is going to come out of the game, and Curtis Thorne is going to make his return. He's been out for quite a while. It'll be his 16th appearance of the season, Thorne. And it's his 4th year with Tormenta. So Sierkowski and Akale, the 2 late additions I've been talking about, will come in for more veteran guys to see this game through. These substitutions brought to you by Festival Foods. So we'll see how Thorne and Billhart slot their way into this game. Thought maybe Billhart would come in for Sterling, but Sterling remains on the pitch. Suko with the cross, that one being straight up. Suko over to Torres. Alan Torres will play it over to the left-hand side. Rod will tap it back. Andrew Wheeler with the service inside, and it's caught by TJ Bush. And although less of a poor mistake on Abdou Mbake-Jam's part, still getting a red card, putting his team in a precarious situation. Matt Glazer's been saying it, we pretty much shoot ourselves in the foot. Look at that last game. Poor foul results in a free kick goal, then 2 red cards. We aren't playing our game, and that is losing us points. Otieno trying to thread it through to Curtis Thorne, and he'll go out for a goal kick. Self-destructing has been so detrimental this season for Madison. Again, they've not won in 6 straight games. And in that stretch, as of right now, they're on a 3-game losing streak, looking at 4, which is a way to nosedive out of a playoff spot to where they stand right now. Bartman sends this ball inside, bouncing about. And TJ Bush falls on top of it. Close, but not quite. And right now, Tormenta sitting on 3 points, on the brink of locking up a postseason spot. Madison putting themselves in a situation where they can get eliminated. Worth noting, as far as elimination is concerned, North Carolina are 1 more result away from being eliminated. They lost on the road to Charlotte, or I guess they're 2 results away. depending on the way this game ends. If Tormenta hangs on to this game and Chattanooga wins tonight against Tucson, then North Carolina FC would officially be the first team out of playoff contention. I know that's not the first thing on Madison fan minds with Madison losing tonight, but just something to throw out there into the void. Ajay brings that one down. He'll draw the foul off of Mitch Osmond, and he'll quickly retake it. Ref not a fan of that, though. Jeremy Satagana, our head official. Matt Glazer dipping into his bench for the first time tonight, coming up here in a moment. That service is met and will bounce away and roll all the way to midfield for a throw. And here come our substitutions. So Christian Enriquez is going to come in for Alan Torres. I believe Jeremiah Strang and Roje Smith are also going to come into the game for Nazim Bartman and Justin Suko. Substitutions brought to you by Festival Foods. Enriquez finally getting back from health, has appeared in the last 2 games. They're getting back to health, would be the better way to put it. So Strang, our player to watch, will come in. Mentioned that maybe it would be a second half goal that would make the difference. Right now, it's a Josh Phelps goal that has made the difference. Perhaps Strang have a say or two in this game. Tormenta will have other things in mind. Toby Otieno holding things up. Plays it to Bill Hart, who's also subbed into this game. Now Otieno plays it to Ajay. Cabral could shoot, he takes it, and that sails over top. Not quite on target. See a lot of rain jackets and ponchos on now. Of course, the smart people were prepared coming to the game, making sure that should the precipitation come, they wouldn't put themselves at risk to hypothermia. It's a little cold and a little rain can do it. Phelps, difference in this one thus far. This ball gets escorted by Adrian Billhart, looking to get by Cyrus Rod, won't do it. Early on in the year, I talked to Ian Cameron about Josh Phelps, and he said intensity is a big part of his game. This one nearly spilt through for Sterling. Because I asked him, is Phelps more of a calming presence, or is he more of an amp him up kind of guy on that back line? And he said it was definitely the latter, amping him up. He said he's high intensity, high focus. And although he's high intensity, there's a calm confidence knowing that he can make the tackle. So it's a little bit of both, but it's definitely more the intense than the calmness. As Ajay is able to knock that one out for another corner kick for Tormenta. A place where the aforementioned Josh Phelps could thrive. Has already done some work here. 6'4". Jake Dangler also 6'5". Two great options there. Him and Jake Dangler, talking about Josh Phelps, make a nice partnership, is what Ian Cameron was saying. And now he's been able to get in the scoring end. Both him and Dangler with a goal apiece. Cabral with the ball inside. It's headed down, but the whistle blows. The more pushing and shoving. That was either Phelps or Dangler. Asking you shall receive. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesday nights at 7 Eastern. Plus, hear live matches from the USL, MLS, English Premier League, and more on Sirius XM FC 157 and the SXM app. Floating into the 18, and it's going to be a goal kick. TJ Bush will take it. Fans, tonight's Dental Health Associates fan of the game is Nate Austin. Thank you for your continued support in going full Mingo. Congratulations to him, and here we are, there he is. Look kind of like Matt Glazer. Unless it's the fellow on the right. We got one Matt Glazer impersonator amongst the group. Sorry, I don't know which one of them is Nate Austin. It looks like a good group of people there. Thorne. That's a curling ball inside, and it's caught by Raiko Rosarena. We'll play this back to Jake Dangler. "20 minutes left to go. Tormenta happy to take chances, but also content with sitting on this lead. Curtis Thorne, though, he'll be trying to get his legs fresh as he works himself back into form. Bill Hart into the 18, tries to get it to Sterling. Mitch Osmond will have to deflect it out for another corner kick. It's our third corner of the day, all of them in favor of Tormenta. Yet to see a Madison corner kick. Rosarena getting a firm talking to from Jorge Satagana. Or maybe it's to Ajay and Otieno in regards to how they contact Raiko Rosarena. Here's the service. That one's headed away from the get-go. Nembard pops that over into the 18 once again. Fans as loud as they typically are. Worth noting, it's the penultimate home game of the season for Madison. They play at home again against Richmond on October 8th, which also happens to be the next opponent for Tormenta. So both teams looking at the kickers coming up. Darren Sawatsky's side, who are sitting at the top of the table. A daunting foe, to say the least, especially with Jonathan Bolaños breaking the assist record in his game today. 11 assists. A lot of fun festivities tonight, including, I believe it was a biking activity, and then they had a taco truck here. Oh, a bunch of fun stuff. It was like a hodgepodge event. No clear theme. Just fun stuff for the fans, and that's what it's going to be in their next home game. A crucial interconference match awaits as the end of the season draws closer. El Paso Locomotive FC travels to historic Al Lang Stadium to meet the Tampa Bay Rowdies Wednesday, September 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Deportes. So some fun stuff tonight for Madison. It'll be fun stuff next weekend. No, not next weekend, the weekend after that. They don't have a game next weekend. It'll be fan appreciation night for their final home game. There'll be giveaways and everything to just award this. You hear the noise throughout the game. So if you're a Madison fan watching this from home, you're missing out. Heard members of the staff for the Forward Madison club call the Madison fans resilient to almost a fault. They're just so loyal to this team. And it's been consistent throughout the years. Dangler sliding to knock that one out. Here's Bill Hart tearing forward. He's got Thorin running with him, but he'll send the cross in the middle for Sterling, and he collides with the Rosarena. Sterling's going to go down. Nothing foul from Raiko Rosarena, but nonetheless, a clunking collision. And Sterling down again for the second time, at least today. Rosarena also going to the turf after the fact. Here's a look on the Dairyland replay. Yeah, I mean, it's two players going for the ball. Yeah, I mean, it hurts though. That is not comfortable, and I hope that Sterling is all right and Rosarena is all right as well. Rosarena getting checked on, as well as Keziah Sterling. Rosarena on his back. Sterling sitting it up again. Had two games earlier today. Central Valley and Richmond drawing 1-1. Charlotte nearly putting the nail in the coffin for North Carolina, winning 2-1 in that interstate battle. 1-0 here. Northern Colorado Hailstorm and Greenville Triumph are underway. Over 30 minutes into that one, still 0-0. And then tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central Time for you Madison fans, it's Chattanooga and Tucson. If this result holds and Chattanooga wins, that would eliminate North Carolina. We're talking about the fans earlier and how resilient they've been this year. Still here, despite this beginning of the second half going disastrously, going down a man and down a goal. It's back up and underway. Good news for both sides. Jervis Atsugana will blow the whistle and get things going here. Seems like the rain interfering with our signal a little bit here. It's coming down hard. To hang on to this lead, or will Madison find a goal with the man disadvantage? We've seen it happen this season. Of course, the bulk of those have been from Union Omaha, but nonetheless, maybe they can borrow some of the magic. The Owls not playing here this Saturday. They're the only team that aren't playing. Of course, one team has to sit out on a Saturday at least, given the odd number of teams we've got. But all 10 other teams all playing this afternoon and evening. So if you're a Union Omaha fan just tuning in from the sideline, I'll wave to you virtually. You can't see me, but just trust me that I'm doing it. That ball gonna sail over top once again. May get another Tormenta substitution here. Should it get waved on? And it will. Keziah Sterling will come out for Alex Morrell. Meanwhile, Fawada Daney will come in for Owen Green. These substitutions brought to you by Festival Foods. Alex Morrell. It's his 24th appearance of the season. Meanwhile, for Adaney, it's his 17th, called up after his brief stint with Tormenta 2. And just 2 appearances for that team before he got the phone call from Ian Cameron to say, hey, you're playing with the big league. And there he is on the ball now. I talked about the fan appreciation night for Madison. Meanwhile, Tormenta briefly touched on it, have their league home opener next week, October 1st. Of course, you know you're going to have some fun there at the new Tormenta Stadium. Pre-game concert will be had at 5:30 before the game, and it'll be a local band playing. I think they're working on a car meet, potentially a taco truck similar to what Madison had tonight. Several food vendors outside of that. So if you're a Tormenta fan watching this right now, you haven't bought a ticket, I would highly recommend you go. It's going to be electric against Richmond. And that's a big game too. The Richmond Kickers top of the table. Of course, this game not all set in stone just yet. It's always worth looking ahead though a little bit. Get the excitement going. Maldonado gets by Morrell. Lost that one over to the left-hand side. It's Rod trying to nutmeg it through Curtis Thorne. Unsuccessful in that endeavor. It'll be a free kick for Tormenta, which they will take as much time to make their way over to put this one back into play. As far as future games are concerned, I would highly recommend anybody who is looking to stay out to tune into that Tucson-Chattanooga game. Tucson have been on a bit of a tear, and they have had success against Chattanooga, so there is precedent to say that Tucson could keep this run going tonight. And they have the most games in hand of any team in the league now, given North Carolina played earlier. Just a matter of the question, will they keep doing it? Will they keep up and stay alive week after week? Because obviously the chips are not in their favor. They're at 27 points, but if you keep winning, you're going to keep making your odds better and better. Tucson's case, you're rooting for the top of the table to keep winning and knocking down those teams that are in the cusp of a playoff line spot or right above it. When you're more in Madison's situation, I think draws are some of the bigger things you're hoping for, but you're also hoping for those top of the table teams to win and give 0 points to any other team in the league, because you know you can't catch those top table teams at this point in time. It's just a matter of trying to get into 6th place or better, but you get where I'm going. Leonard having to adjust his shoe, it seems. Go through and tie it again in this cold rain. Osmond with a long ball down the pitch. Here's Bill Hart going forward. Plays it to his right for Otieno. Otieno holding, stepping inside. Maybe that was looking for Cabral, instead finds Bill Hart. Eric Leonard, cross midfield. Madison have to feel that clock ticking in their head. And they have yet to really test TJ Bush here this evening. Up to this point, 0 shots on target. They had a couple moments to put one on target. At least in the first half they did. But it has been a rough sledding since they've gone down a man in particular. Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu sends that one forward, but nowhere near Suko. That ball put on target, but straight into the hands of TJ Bush. Well, there's your shot on target you were looking for. It's got to be a little bit better than that. Been able to wrestle that one back for Madison. See if that one grazed off of a Tormenta head. No, it did not. At this point, it seems like we're going to go a whole game without a single corner kick for the home side. About a very sparse amount of corner kicks in general. And here's a moment, Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu jumping on that pass. Tries to roll the ball in as opposed to putting it in the air. How many more chances can they create and force? Down a player, Omiunu gets that one deflected out. And there it is, our first corner kick of the day for Forward Madison. And a UW Health Sports Medicine corner kick. Well, here's the interesting thing. 90th minute, corner kicks are kind of the great equalizer when it comes to being down a player, because it just has to fall to the right person. And whether that's a Madison player or a Tormenta player doesn't matter as far as numbers are concerned. That one bouncing all the way through. No one made contact on it for the Mingos. Surison again, headed upward by, looks like that was Jeremiah Strang. And it'll go out. Might have been their best opportunity since going down a man. That corner kick, couldn't get contact on that ball. A lot happening, a lot of moving parts. Much harder for TJ Bush to read where the ball is coming from and where it's going. As you see there, 6 minutes of stoppage time, brought to you by Just Coffee Co-op. 6 more minutes for Tormenta to hang on. 6 more minutes for Madison to try and find a leveling goal. Here's Morrell on the left-hand side. Rolls it to Sterling. Sterling tries to shoot. He gets a second go at it, and he bounces it just wide. Sterling nearly had goal number 13. Here's a look on the Dairyland replay. His first go gets deflected back to him by Rod. And then he just bounces it wide. He knows he missed it. Rosarena had already committed to saving the first shot. And here he is again, making some moves. Sterling across the middle to Otieno. He tried to give it back, or at least find Bill Hart. Otieno wins the ball, though. Here's Thorne. Plays it in the center. Not cleared out effectively, Cabral. Now Bill Hart pops it, but it's too much. An extra amount of air underneath it for Morrell to collect. Now Cabral. Cabral to Sterling. He could shoot. He tries to. And it looks like it deflected off of Eric Leonard. It will go out for a corner kick. Sterling will be wanting that one back. Of course, his team is in the lead, so it's not the most costly miss, but I'm sure he has ambitions about the Golden Boot race and wants to keep up in that regard. And they'll keep it in the corner. And it'll be a goal kick. 3.5 minutes left to go. Nutmeg there from Mikey Maldonado. Cabral will blast it out of play against the board. There's Andrew Wheeler-Omiunu. Osmond. Maldonado with it. Rolls it back inside. It's behind the run of players, but Roje Smith gives it a go. He's had both the shots on target for forward Madison since coming off the bench. But they don't have enough on it. He also scored the game-winning goal against Tormenta last time out. Here's Smith, making his way forward. He could shoot, he tries to shoot, and he gets a deflection. And that'll bounce out for a corner kick, brought to you by UW Health Sports Medicine. Again, corner kicks are a chance where the playing field is somewhat leveled. Smith winning it for her side, and he's been really the only moment of promise for Madison here, ever since they've gone down a player. The whistle blows to keep that from going. So we'll get another take at it. The fans cheering, trying to galvanize their side. Maldonado's service comes in, bounces around. It's still up in the air. Rosarena is up with it. Sterling can try and beat him. Sterling to Billhart. Billhart suffers a tug. He takes the shot, and he can't curl it enough. I think Rosarena got his foot on the corner kick. Wasn't the easiest of open goal shots from Adrian Billhart. And that one coming off the head of Justin Suko, and will go out for a goal kick, and that might be the end of it. Tormenta can run out some of this clock, get it to 96, and go home with 3 points. And there is your final whistle. The Road Warriors strike again. It's their 8th victory on the road this season. Tormenta coming to Bree Stevens, leveling the series at 1-1-1. But in this case, Tormenta in a grand spot to lock up a playoff spot with just a couple more dominoes falling their way. A 1-0 performance after scoring moments after going up a man. Get the business done in Madison. And at this point, the Mingos in a place where they're going to have to start asking for miracles if their playoff hopes are to somehow survive as these weeks go on. The losing skid continues. 7 straight without a win, 4 straight taking losses, no points at all. You just knew that the wind was taken out of their sails the moment Abdou Mbake-Jam was sent off, just moments after the second half started. Now let's pivot over to our play of the match, brought to you by Dairyland Insurance. It's going to be Roje Smith getting the first shot on goal in this game from that corner. That is a tough angle, but they had to make something happen, and Roje Smith came in and did a couple of things in that regard to just find and pull something out of their pocket. They needed a momentous play. As we also look at our save of the match, Raiko Rosarena coming in, coughed it up after the fact, but gets the job done. Of course, the save of the match also brought to you by Dairyland. Kept this one scoreless at the time. Raiko Rosarena did well in the first half, and ultimately not much he could have done about the goal he did concede. as the roadside Tormenta huddle up and can celebrate another 3 points. They are sitting at 40 points now. They're the 4th team to make it there. And in a prime spot to not only clinch up a playoff spot, but now they could start having ambitions of hosting a playoff game in their brand new stadium coming up. We got some post-game thoughts on the other side of this. We'll see you then after this break. Your final score, though, Tormenta 1, Forward Madison 0.
Dairyland is getting there everyday land. It's room for everyone land. It's post-retirement hobby land. Dairyland is driving to your first day of work land and spending Saturdays on the road land. Dairyland is affordable auto and motorcycle insurance for you land, all to help get you there. Dairyland is your land.
Thank you. Hey, excuse me, are you ready? Can I order now? Yeah, okay. I will take a large quad, 2-shot macchiato, no sugar, 2 pumps of vanilla, half pump caramel, non-fat milk, and not too hot, please. Very little ice. Honey, I said just a second. Ow.
As we welcome you back to post-game here, brought to you by Dairyland. It's Roger Smith who's going to be our man of the match, brought to you by Festival Foods. He came in and he made an impact off the bench. We thought maybe that would be Jeremiah Strang who would fill into that role. He did sub in, but Roger Smith also did and was the one to get things finished and try and at least get as close as he could to getting things finished as we look at the full-time stats brought to you by Just Coffee Co-op. Raiko Rosarena doing his best to keep things intact. And then across on the other side for Abdou Mbake-Jam. And then as this game went on, this was the turning point. Abdou Mbake-Jam again coming in on that challenge, getting his 2nd yellow as he collided with Jake Dangler. And that's just a despairing moment for Madison fans and for Abdou Mbake-Jam and his side. Then just a couple moments later, head serviced in. Phelps is able to pop that right back towards goal and give Tormenta the lead they needed to claim 3 points. I think that's Dangler who heads it in. So that duo of Dangler and Phelps once again combining and making things happen. That was all they needed. But why not have another couple go or two? Whistle would stop this from going anywhere. It would have been Jake Dangler who would have put himself on the end of that one. And then Roger Smith, Madison's first shot on goal nearly 90 minutes into the game. And he would get one more before everything was said and done. Sterling would miss this shot, this chance to put his 13th goal on record. Got parried right back to him. He couldn't tuck it home. As we also peek at the full-time stats brought to you by Rhyme. Tormenta now tied their longest scoring streak of the season. It's been 7 straight that they've scored a goal, so if they could score against Richmond in their home opener, it would be their longest streak of the season. This is the first time Tormenta have beaten Madison since 2019, May 2019. That's 7 games without a win for Tormenta. Finally getting it done against the Mingos after a long time waiting for it. A couple draws in there as well, but haven't been able to claim 3 points against the Mingos. But with that being said, that is the end of our broadcast here from Breese Stevens Field. For our entire broadcasting crew, my name is Mark Schoenster. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I highly recommend tuning in to Chattanooga and Tucson or Northern Colorado, Hailstorm, and Greenville. It's exciting here in USL League One. You want to be a part of all of it. We'll see you next time on ESPN Plus, though. Hope you all have a fantastic night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League League One cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League League One.